Hey. This is the Blue Cow Podcast. Another episode, yes. If you're a first listener, we are happy you are here. But if you don't mind, we want you to listen to the first episode of this podcast so that you get background knowledge of what we are doing and why we are doing what we are doing. Yes, like I said, this is the Blue Cow Podcast. My name is Folakemi Ajayi. I'm the Marketing Communications Lead at Power Labs. And of course, I am here with my co-host, David. David, what's up?
Hi, Folakemi.
How's the weather today, first of all?
Well, you can see the way I'm dressed.
I feel like I'm feeling the cold more than you because my sweater is like thicker.
Yeah, actually, I love cold, but I just felt I should wear a sweater today.
Interesting. So the weather is pretty cold today, and I mean, it rained terribly. Let's put it that way.
I disagree.
You disagree? Why did you say so?
It rained pleasantly.
Please, can you imagine? Okay, I mean, different perspective. That's fine. Anyway, so our episode today we'll be talking about life before electricity. A very interesting topic. But before we go into the main gist of today, David, did you see the video of the Senator Ndume talking about the band A categorization, the different band categorization thing? What do you think?
Okay, I think I saw the video for a brief minute, but I didn't really watch the entire proceedings. I don't know whether I agree with him. I don't fully, so I understand his reservations and his is opposing that policy. But in my opinion, I have my own reservations about that policy, and but the thing is, people have not really come up with solutions.
Better solutions.
And the solutions, any solution that does not involve finance is doomed to fail.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe the senator should tell us how No, this is actually, I'm actually being serious about this. I'm not trying to like the senator or whoever the leaders should figure out how are they going to finance that sector. And when I say finance, distribution, transmission.
Yeah.
Right. So the generating companies need to pay for gas. Gas is priced in dollars. Right. So the distribution companies are owing the generation companies billions and hundreds of billions of naira. Right.
Yeah.
The biggest corporates is not even like some of the biggest corporates are actually like MDAs, ministries, agencies, departments of government. Government is one of the biggest debtor in the energy space. They are owing a lot of money. Yeah, so you can check, you can fact check me. They are owing a lot of money. So when you are already owing billions and billions of naira, I would expect there should be proceedings to check how we government pay all that money back, right?
Yes.
To flush that system with money, and also make sure that money gets to the gas. Should I say, the people making the gas. So when you look at what he's saying, he has some point, and I will use one very good illustration to show why he has a point about the cost. Why the cost doesn't make sense for us, but we need to still fix that problem, and we need to fix the finance. As of today is what? Today is
22nd, yes,
of
May.
$1 Canadian is 1,000 naira, 1,056 naira, right? The per capita income of Toronto in Canada is about $46,000.
Okay.
American dollars. $46,000 American dollars. That's the per capita income. The minimum wage in Canada and Toronto area is about $16. Just in naira, that was like
$16 Canadian dollars
per hour. 16 Canadian dollars.
Yes, okay.
Per hour, and that was like maybe over 16k, over 17k per hour, right? Nigeria, the current minimum wage is 30,000 naira. That's government, right? So someone that works in 2 hours makes what someone in Nigeria is going to make in a month. Right. Now, just keep that thought. Now, the cost of electricity. In Canada, they have done some projects for people like energy projects in Canada. So
Yeah.
I know for a fact they have 4 tariff bands. So instead of we doing bands based on geography, they do bands based on time. So tariff bands. So they have the peak, they have on peak, they have mid peak, they have weekend off peak, they have ultra low overnight peak. On peak is between 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's when it is expensive.
Yeah.
At that period, it's about I think 28 cents, right?
Okay.
When you use the Canadian, so that's why the first thing I said was the changing to Naira, the exchange rate. In Naira, that is about 302 Naira. That's expensive, right? Cool, but that's only for 5 hours in a day, right? Then the mid peak is between 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. when many people will be at work, right? Then between 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. that's mid peak. At that period, it is 128 Naira. It is cheaper than our band A.
Wow.
These people have 24 hours electricity. We are paying 206 Naira. Right here where we are now, we are on band A. We are paying 206 Naira per kilowatt hour. That I'm telling you that someone in Canada, in Toronto, which is paying 128 Naira per kilowatt hour between 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and between 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Weekend, in the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, they have what they call weekend off peak. They pay between 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. They are paying 91 Naira.
Okay. Wow.
I'm just trying to make you understand the cost, right? 91 Naira. Still don't forget that there are minimum wages. 2 hours of make. Then at night, whether weekend, the night, they call it ultra low overnight. And most Nigerians, you come back home around 10, they're tired, you want electricity, right? So 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. in Canada, they are paying 29 Naira. That's like 30 Naira per kilowatt. So let's be honest with ourselves. If we are paying a lot for electricity, they are saying cost reflective tariff. That is nonsense. We are not the one that told the stakeholders in that sector to be so inefficient at how much they generate electricity for. If you have decided to be inefficient, you're now passing the cost to the final consumers, to the final users. That does not make sense. So what you expect government to do is to actually do proper probe of that sector. Why is there waste? Why are we producing electricity at that very expensive amount? I'm not saying people need to pay for what they are using. I support that. At the same time, but you need to do it in a way that actually makes sense. We have a lot of gas. We are flaring gas. We are wasting it. So what is happening? So there has to be like a very surgical. People are not really suggesting solutions. They just do it based on emotion.
Everyone is just complaining about.
It's emotional. Like, oh, it's expensive, and people just don't want. They want free electricity, or like, I want solution-based approach. Let's first get the numbers. Let's understand the numbers, right? Then with that, maybe when we have that data, and that's why data is so important. When you have the data, both the technical data and the economic data, then you can actually design solutions that actually make sense, right? So not just maybe I don't agree with the geographic tariff thing. I don't agree with it personally. Maybe because I'm paying that, and I actually don't agree with it. It does not make sense, right? I think there should be other ways. There are other ways that actually that one can try out that would actually make sense, right? Rather than this haphazard, like it's basically like throwing things on the wall and seeing what sticks. But that financial part has to be solved. And well, maybe this is not the best solution, but at least they are doing something, right? Not doing something is a choice, and that is even worse. So that's my take on that.
In fact, very, very amazing. For those wondering what this video is, we are going to link this to our show notes so that you see what we are talking about. And David has shared his thoughts. So I want to ask, so what are you going to say is your take on your perspective regarding the tariff went from 66 for band A to 225. And from 225, it went down to 206. Like, what do you think about the difference?
It went down because the exchange rates, and in fact, you should be expecting it to actually go worse based on the exchange rate right now, has actually gone up again. So you expect it, they might do under review and say, oh, it's no longer 206, it's now, depending on how they want to, who wants to take that loss of that delta in exchange rates. But I just think going from 66 to 225, I think does not make sense personally. I don't think it
Really?
makes sense. Yeah.
Because
And-
what's the difference really?
And before you start doing stuff like that, there are things which you say, yeah, if you are saying the cost of electricity is that amount, okay, fine, but think about this for a minute. Like, if you are going to provide me 20 hours plus, right? And if you provide me 16, so band B is, that should be like 20 to 16, between 16 to 20 hours. Band A is between 20 to 24 hours.
Yeah.
If I'm going to get band B, I'm going to get 16 hours or 18 hours. Why would I want to go for band A when I'm going to pay triple?
Exactly.
Right. So it doesn't make sense for me. If I have a business or something, why should I want to pay more? So that change is not proportionate. It does not make sense. It makes sense to for tariffs to be cost reflective. And also, what is the incentive? So now they are saying, the incentive of the discos will be incentivized to want to take everybody to band A eventually. If you take everybody to band A eventually, everybody is now paying 206 naira. I just showed you Canada.
Yeah.
They are paying. Sometimes they are paying as low as 30 naira. So you are telling me in a developing country where the minimum wage is as low as I don't know, as low as, let's say, 30 Canadian dollars, right? You are telling me that I'm going to now spend multiples of what a Canadian will spend on electricity. And I have I have gas.
Yeah.
Right? I have massive gas reserves, right? So it does not make sense. And I have not found anyone that has made it like, that is trying to make it make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, you need to actually look at that sector like, okay, what are the blockers that can bring that? Okay, let me just put it this way. Why are fixing that? The thing is, some of the problems are intertwined. You can see the way exchange rate is affecting in real time.
Yes.
Because now that we don't have like a, should I say, a fixed exchange rate is now supposedly floated. It means that figure can change. But even if it's going to change, I'm not going to be changing it every day, right? So, for example, the customs, almost every week they're updating. I know that personally. They're updating the custom exchange rates. So, are you going to be exchanging the rates for the for tariffs also? So there are some things that we need to there are things that have to be fixed to even make that sector maybe should I say, exciting for investors, right? When there has to be some form of stability. So that's like another question. That's a different ball game. That's like things I don't want to talk about. I'm not qualified to speak about, right? Like talking about the exchange rate or whatever. I'm not qualified to talk about that. But I'm saying that actually affects what our tariff is going to be. And if there's instability, there's a problem. So I believe that figure is too much, jumping from 66 naira to 220 something naira. I think that's too much. I think what would have made sense would have been to pilot this stuff in a particular location in the country. Not like you just come and just this is not like the 80s under the military and just decree something and, where was the should I say, stakeholders meeting, town hall meetings, right? So actually get people on board with this idea, right? That was not done. So there are some things that maybe we have announced, maybe. So before we have this multi-year tariff, is it order or something? Multi-year tariff. I don't remember what the O is now, but MYTO. That's NERC, which is the NERC is the regulatory body for that sector. So they come up with these figures, the stakeholders and all, they come up with these figures, and you know that, okay, by next year, this is what the new tariff is going to be like.
Yeah.
But this time, you just have a minister saying that, announcing. Is that the minister? Yeah, I don't know, the minister is in charge of that sector, but at the end of the day, is he the one that should just arbitrarily announce the new rates? I you know, sometimes we do things, we don't do them properly.
Yeah.
So you now ask that, why he did that, and did they take into consideration the actual final users, right? And you're saying so the problem is, when you say feeder, a feeder is under band A. Feeders have different people in different social classes.
Yeah.
You understand? So you have a feeder that goes through one nice mini estate with people that are ready to pay the band A, and that feeder there's a slum also on that feeder.
Yes.
Are you telling me that slum, all low housing, all low cost, you know, families are on that feeder? Are you telling me they can afford to pay for electricity? You understand? So they have to like thought in this. They have to like thought like it has to go to even town planning level. You like, and so when you just say okay, feeders are going to be this band, it's I don't know. I felt there wasn't enough planning. I think it should have been piloted somewhere, maybe Abuja, for instance. That's the center of power. They could have piloted it in. I know that Abuja people not like.
They will like this one.
But I just meant like they should pilot it somewhere, and when they kind of like try to fix the issues that will come up, then they can now start extending. So when they pilot it in Abuja, we already are going to know that, oh, we are getting it. If we are not, we can't escape it, but we know what's going to happen. And so there will be like feedback mechanism to fix. But now you have it across the entire country. Let's not kid ourselves. Sokoto, Yobe, these are places. Are you telling me they are going to be paying 200 and something naira? So what is going to happen is basically energy apartheid. Right? You want to separate people based on energy availability. So I don't think it's okay. I saw, I think, a news article that was saying, I think maybe it is Uniben or which school, where they started doing load shedding, and they're like, they can't pay. So their bill jumped from maybe 80 million before per month to triple of that, right?
Oh, wow.
And they cannot afford to do that. So you think about it, if utility is taking this amount, nobody has talked about it in the budget of last year. All these MDAs, all these companies, people have done planning.
Yes.
Now, something that was like 10% or 15%, or let's say 20% before, is going to be 60% of their budget now.
Yes.
That is not, that doesn't seem sane to me, if I should say so, right? So you can't just come and arbitrarily make this kind of stuff, right? There should be proper planning. I'm not saying if it is 200 and something naira we have to pay, we will pay it. At the same time, we should also work in trying to bring down that cost of electricity. Like, let us generate enough to make the cost go down. We should not say because we want people to come to that sector, they should not exploit people. Electricity, healthcare, these things are like, they are becoming like human rights. Access to electricity, access to roads. So it's not something that you can just have this ultra capitalist view about it. Right. So that's my opinion about that.
Yes, that was very loaded. Like, that was packed. That would take me to, I mean, we can see the importance of electricity in our modern day. Like, we can't, there's no two way about it. We need electricity. So I would like to get a background story of how electricity came to be.
Okay, that's interesting. How did electricity come to be? Okay, let me put it this way. Electricity has existed since humanity has existed. Okay. Because electricity is even the way we communicate, the way our brains, the electric signals, right?
Okay.
So, like, electricity is part of us from the start. So electricity, the phenomenon of electricity is not just the ones that you see with your wires bringing electricity, bringing lighting and every other thing. So you hear things like you hear stuff like neural spikes, the way neurons are communicating with each other. So basically, like, they are using electricity to communicate. So if you've seen electric eel, those fish that shock people, right? So humanity are engaged with that phenomenon for a long time, but we didn't really know what it was, right?
Okay.
So electricity was also linked to magnetism, right? So for a long time, I think it became more. People started working on it more. I'm trying to recall my high school physics because there's some like history behind, like when humanity they saw one lodestone somewhere. But the thing is, so people started like noticing that phenomenon. But there are some people that really did a lot of work around electricity. You cannot talk about electricity without talking about Michael Faraday. There's Volta, a professor in Italy. Then I can't remember his full name. There are a lot of people that people figure that frogs, when they get electrified, after dead frogs, their legs actually like move. So even the muscle, the way signals are sent for us to move. So right now you shake your head, the signal that your brain sends for you to move that stuff, it's electricity.
Okay, that is very interesting.
So there's some form of electrochemical signaling. So you're using chemicals to signal. Don't let's get into that's neuroscience right now.
Yes.
Let's focus on. But the electricity that we have right now that we all enjoy is not like I would say some of the people that really did a lot of work around it. When we start from Faraday, he did a lot of work around like the entire electromagnetism space, because electricity and magnetism are linked together.
Okay.
Right. So you have Tesla, you have the famous American inventor Thomas Edison. Tesla was an employee of Edison. But Tesla is obviously like a different level of genius. In fact, he quit working for Edison because Edison gave a challenge, but he felt nobody can solve it. But Tesla didn't know that he felt nobody can solve it, so he solved it, and he was expecting the cash reward. Edison was now saying, "Oh, don't you understand American humor?" And
are you kidding?
I'm not doing that. So he left. But so we had Charles Westinghouse. So even this where we have AC/DC thing right now.
Yeah.
So Edison was more focused on, I think, DC, and Westinghouse and Tesla did a lot of work on AC.
Okay.
And that's why we have modern electrical grid, because this is AC. We are like transmitting AC power across countries, in fact. So that particular stuff has a lot of things to do with the guy called Nikola Tesla. He did a lot of work on the mathematics behind it, on the construction of the kind of turbines, and a lot of work around that. So that work, those companies like Westinghouse, Edison, electric company, those companies became something like GE now, right?
Okay.
That was like their parent company back in the day. So the first main application for electricity was lighting, right? In fact, Lagos, I think in the late 1800s, there was electricity in Lagos. That's
1800.
why, so if I move around and I don't see lights, I'm driving and I don't see. I'm laughing that this is something that they figured out over 100 years ago. So the in colonial Lagos, they actually like had a generator, right? Okay. Then there was like electric. So they had generators to generate electricity to light up some places at night. They were trying to even reduce the occurrence of pickpocketing and just make places more safer and stuff like that. Not the entire Lagos, I mean a small part of Lagos. Places. So lighting was one of the first application people started, because before, I don't know, maybe people knew about this, before whaling used to be a thing. Whaling meant people will go and they needed the fat from whale. The fats that when they capture these whales, they kill these whales, they take the fat and they use it as oil for street lamps.
Interesting.
Yeah. So electricity made whaling it maybe not entirely kill that industry, but it made, maybe we would not have had whales if we had not worked on electricity. Maybe we would have made them extincted, because whaling was a big thing. People were like capturing them killing them basically to extract the fat to light, so for street lamps. So people used to like burn oil to light streets, right? Until we had like electrical lighting, and that was a lot of work. So a lot of work that the Edisons of this world, the other pioneers in America worked on. So yeah, and from America, then you have Europe, right? And from Europe to the colonies. So Nigeria to even so the distance between when they started like lighting maybe London and they littered Lagos is not that crazy. Like the distance is not that crazy. So and from lighting they started figuring out you could do other interesting things with it. Right? Because electricity, like I said, electricity and magnetism are linked. Yeah. So if you can change electrical field, right, fast enough, right, you can create movements. That's basically the idea behind engines, right? You have turbines. So basically, let me put it this way: you are using movement of a magnetic field to generate electricity from if you have that's how most engines work that generate electricity in the first instance. So you have all these maybe Kanji Dam moving these big turbines. These magnetic field are changing so fast and they generate electricity. So if you do the same for electrical field too, you can generate. So you can basically, if you fast changing electrical field can actually create movements, right? And that's how you now have like motors, electrical motors. Electric motors means that you can have a lot of machines that can run electricity. So we started so electricity in America, let me focus on America for a bit. People in the early 20th century, people started now some household machines or things that they do with other things before. They started figuring out how to use electricity to do it. So I remember when I was in boarding house, when we used to, some people used to bring stove iron. Yeah. Right. Someone actually brought charcoal iron. Like you drop charcoal there. And I grew up around Yaba, Ebutemeta. Okay. I grew up in a lot of places, but I grew up there too. So I remember some people might know Evans Square. So in the 90s, it's probably still existing actually. In the 90s, 2000s, if you are going somewhere and there's no light, maybe you just take your suits, you take your clothes to. There are some northerners that have business where they wash, but if you don't want them to wash, you can take it, they iron for you. They don't use electricity.
I want to really be to still something like that still exists. It may not be so common.
They exist actually. I'm thinking about it now. I think they still exist. But gentrification has made that place. Maybe they don't. I don't know. There's gentrification in that area. Yeah. But I mean, you can go there and just give them your clothes. They use charcoal, and they have and so just think about the amount of if the world had not really embraced electricity, it would have been even worse, right? The amount of devastation, the amount of nature, right? So it made things easier, it made things neater, cleaner, faster. So the more we shift things towards using electricity, the more it's actually better for the world. So you look at even cooking. Yeah. Like right now, I use gas to cook, right? Because thinking about using electricity to cook with this current exchange, this current tariff is going to be crazy. But there was a time I lived outside of Nigeria. I remember that everywhere, all the places I stayed in Europe, they used electricity. And thinking about it now, it's just safer, it's just better. Like people are now doing research and they are discovering that even small emissions from the gas that you have in your kitchen is actually enough to actually cause some health challenges for people. Oh wow! Right, and we've lived with it all along. And some people even don't even use gas. Is even clean. Is a part of the clean fuel. Some people even use kerosene. Yeah. Which is even more dirty. Like when they cook in the kitchen and you have the fumes and everything. So what am I saying? Some people even still use charcoal to cook. Yes, of course. Cook outdoor, and some people use firewood to cook, right? Yeah. And these has a big effect with and these affect a lot of disproportionately affect women, especially in Africa, right? So there are a lot of things that electricity has done and is doing to make maybe that's social outcomes are outsized. Just basically using electricity, replacing things that you do other way, and use electricity to do that stuff.
Okay.
So, but that's my own, should I say, David's history. I think I have like more richer history, but I don't want to get too. There are a lot of things around. Okay, someone like Heaviside worked on transmission line equations. There are a lot of work done in electricity, but I think that's the easier way for me to wrap my head around how from the ancient times to people like Faraday working on it, right? And from it now going to America, you had people like Edison doing a lot of work on electricity, just making electricity. And then you have people like Westinghouse and Tesla now thinking about, okay, how do we actually transmit the electricity across longer distances? Like maybe there is a dam here, but the nearest city is far away. It's better to just use alternating currents, right? And so they did a lot of work around that that part of electricity in the 1900s. And here we are still enjoying what they did. But I guess it is now the onus is for us to extend what they've done in terms of application and even in terms of the fundamentals. Yeah.
For my own clarification, please, where does Benjamin Franklin come in?
Yeah, it's an American, so it's like around, I think around the time when Faraday was doing stuff. Okay. I think I just really, I would say I don't want to sound like maybe I'm not an American, but I think I would regard what Faraday did as more fundamental, in my opinion, right? Okay. So yeah, a lot of people science has always been something that multiple people will work on, and sometimes multiple people work on the same thing. Right. So it's like calculus, for example. You had Newton worked on calculus, but you had Leibniz worked on calculus, and the calculus we use today is basically the form that it is. Is even people say Newton is the founder, is the inventor of calculus, but the form we use is actually Leibniz, and they worked separately. So a lot of people work on separate things at the same time, like the same thing, but they are not together, right? So I think mentioning Faraday just covers. I'm not. Franklin too was one of the pioneers of. I
just did that because I've heard about Benjamin Franklin, so I just needed to.
He did a lot of
clear
things.
About that for myself.
People then are people we call polymaths. They are Renaissance men or women. And I like that kind of idea where, someone said, I think Lazarus Long said, over specialization is for ants.
Wow.
While we like over specializing based on the modern world, it makes things faster. But at the end of the day, when you look at many people that do fundamental stuff and that they push the boundaries of knowledge, they are actually come from the fringe, or where I like calling like at the interface between two things, right? So if you meet a mathematician that knows a lot of chemistry or is interested in chemistry, he might do something that maybe is the person that is going to, or a mathematician that likes brewing beer or doing something around liquids, maybe is the one that would do some important stuff around Navier-Stokes equation, right? That will do something so. The idea is knowledge is something where sometimes the experts they focus on what is present today, right? But what could be, you need people that are a bit more. I don't want to say cranks. They are cranks. Some people come and say like science fiction thing, and there's no underlying reality that backs that thing up. But you need people that, should I say, I don't say counterculturalists, but they're like not in the middle of the thing. They have the knowledge that people in the middle have, but they are at the fringe a bit. So because they can look in, right? They can. So people from the past, you see, Newton, known physicist, right? Greatest physicist, whatever. He was the in charge of the Oya Mints. So it was basically like, I'll not say Ebefele, but it was like, minting the coins in England, right? So it's not really like Ebefele. It would be like the Director General of the Nigeria Security Printing and Minting Company. it will be like that kind of person.
Yeah.
Right? And he's also someone that is an alchemist. He did a lot of work in alchemy, right? He did a lot of serious work, but alchemy became something that was a dead end.
Yeah.
So chemistry rose out of that, right? But he did a lot of work in that, and people don't even know that he wrote a lot of things in theology. He wrote more about theology than actual science.
Really?
Yes, he did. So these are Renaissance people. They do a lot of stuff, right?
That's actually true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, I need to breathe a little to take that in.
So I was just trying to put into context about Benjamin Franklin that he did a lot of stuff. It was like the American Renaissance man. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I definitely know that the way we generate, distribute, and consume electricity has evolved. Definitely.
Yeah.
Can you say something about that? Like the process at which the whole thing has evolved from time immemorial when it started up until now.
Okay, so before we didn't really have like a concept of a grid. You just generate and you take it to somewhere that are going to use it. So you're generating from maybe point A and you evacuate that electricity and supply to people that want to use it. But we have what we call a grid now.
Yes.
And a grid is a machine of its own, machine made of wires, right? So you want to have like a network where multiple people can generate and multiple people can use. And the system is resilient that if one person that stops generating is not going to it doesn't kill the system. And if someone stops consuming, it doesn't kill the system. So, it was so simple before. It was like almost point A to point B kind of stuff. So let's say you had a line that was like just straight lines before. Now you have like a web, like imagine like a chicken scratch. Everything just
everywhere.
And it's actually is a machine. It's like almost like a living, breathing thing.
Wow.
Like it's actually affected by things, right? So it's gotten so complex where we have a lot of generating plants. We have a lot of people are consuming electricity, right? And we are also we've extended it to a large distance. Think about Nigeria. There are parts of Nigeria where there's no generating facility close to them, but they get electricity because there's transmission. So, and what we've done is we've figured out, and this is based on the work of people like Tesla and the rest, where just have this in your mind that power is basically, in the equation for power is P equals V times I. What that means is power equals voltage times current.
Okay.
Do you understand? Voltage times current. That is power. So voltage is, in most things that you use, the voltage is constant. It's like a constant. So the power is directly proportional to the current. So the higher the current you consume, the more the power will go up. An example would be this fan that is blowing right now. Let's say this fan at when the knob is at 1, let's say it's at 60 watts, but the voltage is 240.
Okay.
So the current will be now be 60 divided by 240. You get the idea? But the current would increase if I take it to switch the position of the knob to 2. So let's say it now gets to 70 watts. That means the current will increase. Because the current increase, the voltage will not change. The current will increase. It's drawing more current to be able to spin faster. Then take it to 3, it gets 80. It's going to draw more current to spin way fast. That means the power. So before it was 60 watts at the beginning, now it's 80 watts. Does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
That's how, for most things, if you check your phone now, this charger, I think this is DC. So this converts AC 240. Then I'm getting 5 volts DC here.
Okay.
Right. So the current will be, for the DC, now the current will be high. You now see maybe 2 watts. So if they say this charger is 10 watts,
yeah.
So that means I said 2 watts, 2 amps. Sorry.
2 amps. Okay,
2 amps.
okay.
So that would be like 5 volts times 2 amps.
Okay.
That would be like 10 watts, right? But on the other side, the side where it's getting the AC, this is AC that is getting from.
Okay.
The voltage is 240 or 220 to 240.
Okay.
The current will be 0.0 something, very, very small,
Very small.
right? So basically that's how it is for most things, right? And because we now discovered to transmit electricity across large distances, what we did, so because if you want to draw, so a current, drawing current from things, drawing high current from things, there will be heat. That thing is, it's not a superconductor, it's a normal conductor. So so there will be heat, electrons are moving, so there will be heat generated.
Okay.
So if you draw, if you're, imagine, I don't know, you've probably seen it where you have a lot of stuff around. That's why when you want to buy a plug, they say this plug is 12 amps, this one is 15 amps.
Yeah.
The one you see, the round one for those AC is a bit different from the,
Yes.
so that one can allow more. And even the cables, you see that cables have different sizes.
Yes.
They call it different gauges, right? That means that cable can allow more current to flow through it.
Oh, wow.
It's like a pipe. It's like a pipe. In a pipe, the amount of water that can flow in a pipe, a big pipe, is different from the amount of water that can flow in a small pipe.
Yes.
Right. The thing about this pipe now is, if you want to supply 1,000 people, and they want to use AC, they want to use all these interesting things to make their lives easier. How that means you're going to make a pipe that will be so big.
So big.
You understand? The pipe will cover the streets, like, but it doesn't make sense. You can't have a big wire. Like, the width of the wire is that, the cross-sectional diameter of the wire is not that big. It doesn't make sense. So you now start thinking that, because it's like a cylinder. Because a wire is just like a cylinder. So we now think about it that, but so how do you use a thin wire? What you would have to do is to increase the voltage very high.
Okay.
So if the voltage is very high, the current will be low. Do you understand? The amount of power. So so if I can take the voltage, that's why you see here like 11 kV. 11 kV means 11,000 volts.
I've always wondered.
11 kV is 11,000 volts. You'll see things like 33 kV.
Yeah.
33,000 volts. You now have all those bigger ones that's with like 300 and something kV, right? The big ones that's coming from the TCN, like that's the one the discos will now connect to get power. So people figured out, like some smart people figured out, if they can increase the voltage to very high levels, that means they can actually, that's the thing about technology. A lot of things are interwoven.
Yeah.
Manufacturing is not visible to manufacture cables are that gigantic, like it's not, but it's easier to make normal cables. Those not saying those high cables are normal cables. Now they're not like not cables you have in your house. Obviously they are big too, but they are still so. They understood that if they made the voltage very high, then they can pass enough current. So the current that will be on those stuff will be like small, right? But by the time they now step it, they now created what they call transformers. These transformers are not the ones that people are shouting now. In AI transformers. These are the OG transformers. Okay. They are not the ChatGPT transformers. They are not the Gemini. These are the OG transformers where you have like this electrical, should I say, equipment that basically steps up or steps down.
Okay.
Right. To step up or step down the voltage. So when the voltage gets to where, so maybe like even when you're generating, you're not generating at 11,000. You're generating at one particular voltage. Of course. So they step it up to a particular value. So there's an interesting thing that happens, like, okay, we want to, you have a generating plant, I have a generating plant, you understand, we are generating at particular voltage or whichever voltage, but someone can specify that for us to be able to sell and transmit it, we need to make so we would have to like step up to a particular level. So our voltage will be as, let me just put an arbitrary,
Okay.
I'm not going to name anyone, so someone of my that is not the truth. But yeah, because I'm not browsing yet. But so they now step it up. They are step up transformers. Step it up to like those thousands of volts, right? Then when it gets to where it's going to be used, when it gets like so where like from the TCN, when it gets to the substations, they bring it down. You are seeing 33 kV, you are seeing 11 kV. 11 kV will enter into the normal transformer in your street. Now turn it to like 240. Stepping it down. So you can use it. So the one that is entering your compound is 240, 220, 240, right? It's not 11 kV. If 11 kV enter your compound, there's a problem, right? So there's a lot of, should I say, planning that was not there 100 years ago.
Yeah.
But now because so when it's just like two kids can play together. They are like you can have kids playing. They are like on the streets. That's fine. But let's say you now want to take those kids for excursion. The school wants to take them somewhere. They are traveling. There'll be rules. There'll be chaperone. There'll be regulations. There'll be a lot of things because now it's a bit more complex situation.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm just using that analogy, but I mean that's similar. When things becomes complex, there are a lot of stakeholders now.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things you have to like think about in terms of safety, in terms of so it becomes way more complex than just I generated electricity, I'm going to consume electricity. There's now a lot of intermediaries, there's a lot of rules that has to be followed, right?
Yeah.
So that made it a bit more. That's why the grid is a very complex machine. I call it a machine because it's actually a machine because everything is connected. So it's one entity.
Man, for the grid to be doing that much work, I see why it should be collapsing.
No, it should not. It should not be collapsing. It's just like a human being is also complex, right? If you look at a human being, you look at the physiology of a human being, whether it's the whether you want to look at any system you want to pick for a human being, it's actually very complex, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's the brain or whatever, but there's the idea of like balance, of chemical balance, or should I say chemical equilibrium? Maybe not exactly equilibrium, but at like a steady state, right? So the idea is no matter how complex it is, there are some some level where it's steady state. It's getting feedback about what's happening, changes some things, right? So if someone is not healthy, right, that's why. Okay, think about it like people maybe they get an infection, then they get a fever. Those things are in response to that infection. Then your body starts generating antibodies, trying to. That's why it's crazy. That's why you have that fever. It's trying to fight it, right? That's how grids too or machines are created. There's a feedback system, right? So if it's collapsing, it means the system is bad. It should not collapse. It should have been designed for it to still work. So there are cases where that someone has flu, normal flu. Yeah. Maybe enough antibodies to take care of it is fine. But someone having COVID or maybe some other esoteric virus could be like there's no cure for that. Oh, this is bad. We know that there are special cases but those special cases don't occur every day. Yeah. Every day we interact with thousands of viruses that don't do anything to us because we have enough. Should I say the immune system can fight it? So I would say the immune system of the grid of Nigeria's grid is zero.
I mean, because it's very funny that you just hear the Nigeria grid has collapsed, national grid has collapsed. What is happening?
What is happening is like imagine someone that doesn't go for a checkup, just eats French fries, chicken every day. You're just eating all the bad things. You're drinking soda. You don't exercise. So there's no even proper metrics to even see. You don't know. Person doesn't know how big they are. They can just fall sick and it's the outcome will not be good.
So this is definitely a maintenance problem.
Yeah, so maintenance, not just maintenance, is also a maintenance and also an investment problem. So when you design the grid or when the present grid, the demand was not this much. Now the population of 2000 is not the population of 2020 or 2024.
Yes.
Nigeria is supposedly around about 200 million, or about 200 million. I think around that time, Nigeria should be like 100 million. Do you know what it means to double the population? Because that population you are doubling, they are going to also use fridges, they're going to use, they demand electricity.
Yes.
And also the average consumption of people is increasing the more you like. So, there was no planning to actually take care. Like the planning, they should be like planning that, okay, this is what will happen.
Yeah.
So this is so we're like, I'm not saying there's no planning, but when you don't implement the plans, there's
no point.
Underinvestment. That's the biggest problem with the sector. The biggest problem with whether each English we want to speak here, whichever equation you want to come and solve, it still has to do with underinvestment. If you invest in that space and it's well managed, you would know what the demand would be like for Nigeria, and the demand is even a fraction of what we should. Even the demand that we are talking about, grid is collapsing. Grid is collapsing when most manufacturers are not even on the grid. They are using diesel and they are using gas.
Yeah, there's that.
They are not on the grid. Just imagine if they were on the grid. So even at that, it's collapsing. So it's not even doing what it should be doing. But the demand has increased. There has to be enough investment in the grid, and that investment has to be the entire sector. So, if you invest in generating stations, but how about the transmission that will wield that power? And the distribution too. I will give you a very small example, or a simple one that we both know, is metering, for example. And I can speak about metering. I do have some experience in metering. Like, it's even linked to this thing we spoke about, band A, band B, band.
Yeah.
Some people are not metered and they're on band something.
Yes, true.
Yeah, I'm not metered and you put me on the band and you now triple the estimated billing you are bringing. It should be illegal. Personally, I believe it should be illegal to give anybody estimated billing in Nigeria in 2024. I will say it here. Anybody that doesn't like it should. The meters that they are selling to us, you can get certified. You can get meters that are actually going to pass some of the tests that are needed to be passed for $50. $50. How much is $50 now? You can even get it. I'm sure you can get it for lesser. Right? You can get it for lesser. But they are selling those meters way more expensive, right? And it is people that are now buying the meter. So they are like, ideally, the people should not be buying the meter. The meter belongs to the distribution companies. But now, how do I get my money back? They have the different things that they said they do, where maybe they'll give you that money back through units or whatever. But you need to figure out how to meter everyone. If you're complaining that you're not making enough money, you're not able to recoup your investment. Then you meter them. You talk to, like, if there's theft after metering, there are still ways. That is where companies like Power Labs exist to build solutions, right? That can even help you to detect theft. Algorithms that will make you know that, okay, things, maybe it is not. Like data, if you collect data, you know what you should be expecting.
Yes.
You know what your income should be like. You saw what your demand was like, and you compare, like, well, if you metered everyone, if you add it and it's not adding up, you can even there are ways to isolate where that theft is coming from, and you can now act, right? But you should not punish people by not metering them, right? You should meter everyone. So, So the investment is, to me, investment is the biggest challenge, and that investment has to cut across from distribution to generation. The entire space.
Okay, that would take me to let's talk about the major shifts and disruptions that you probably foresee in the energy space. What are, like, the major shifts and disruptions that you foresee?
I think it's going to be worse.
Why did you say so?
This is just not for Nigeria. It's generally the fact that there's a lot of reliance more on should I say cyclical sources, like solar, like wind. These are things that they're not like 24 hours, right? So you need batteries,
Yeah.
you need storage technology has to go that level, it has to be there. The problem is when you start talking about storage, you start talking about geopolitics.
Yeah.
Like where are the batteries
Yes.
made from? You can see what's happening with tariffs between the two global superpowers at the moment, right? So where are people going to get enough batteries from? In this, like, so there are a lot of things that are not. There is a lot of risk embedded in the future of energy if people don't act now.
Wow.
Where are you going to get batteries from? There will not be embargoes on batteries. The country, you can't buy batteries. Batteries will not be like gold. It will be more expensive. Maybe a gram of lithium will now be maybe more expensive than a gram of gold. I'm not saying it is, but who knows?
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of risk involved where even for oil, and we know that at the moment, even gas, there is a lot of geopolitics around it. Right, you want to sell gas to like Nigeria now has a lot of gas. You want to now put a pipeline from Nigeria to maybe Europe that's to pass through a lot of countries. What is the relationship between you and those countries at the moment?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So there's a lot of things. So when people say these things, I'm like, there's a lot of risk. There has to be like a lot of investment in technology.
Yes.
Serious investment.
Yes.
You cannot think the status quo is still going to hold.
Yes.
You need to think about a lot around decentralized generation distribution. We have to get the decentralized grids they are going to play a major role in the future, because I don't know about at the moment the grid or a lot of our infrastructure. There are a lot of 0 days. By 0 days, I mean vulnerabilities, cybersecurity says vulnerabilities, where people, I don't know, maybe you saw something that happened during the COVID lockdown. I think this was America, where some hackers basically hacked a gas pipeline.
My goodness.
These kind of things are going to continue increasing. It's going to get worse. I'm not a prophet of doom. I'm just saying it's going to get worse, but it can get better. So there has to be like serious investment in technology in terms of like in the entire space. And how do you have a system that is a bit more, there's this term I'm trying to look for, when something is, I think it's Nassim Taleb that's give that. It's not a black swan. There's a particular thing where something happens to it. The system is more than robustness. Like when something happens to that system, the system can even be better safe. You understand? So I can't remember the term now. Maybe we'll add it in our show notes. But the idea is we need to build systems that are not too fragile.
Yeah.
They have a lot of they have a lot of failure points where maybe it's economic. It could be economic, it could be technological, it could be geopolitics. So we need to like look at the entire system. And I guess in my own opinion, let me speak about Nigeria. I think Nigeria is actually like, I see problems as opportunities.
Yeah, that's good.
That's the way I see things. Like, it's a problem that our grid is not as advanced. We don't have enough capacity on like Europe or other countries, Asia.
Yeah.
But that allows us to do something different.
Yeah.
I don't want to use the word leapfrogging because I laugh at when people talk about leapfrogging. I'm like, it's not only leapfrogging, it's frog jump. There are some things that you need to do. You can't run away from some things. There's a reason why, even with all this internet penetration, like during Christmas, during all this, you see how things are bad because we never built the cable, the wired connectivity. We just jump to GSM, wireless immediately. If you don't do some of the basics, fundamentals, you now discover that, that infrastructure that you didn't build, you will see the repercussion. So you see everybody, people, if you build things on top of shady or shaky foundations, look at logistics in Nigeria. A lot of people are building amazing logistics solutions, but you're building it on what? On bad roads, right? That your package still has to move through space and time. So away from the world of bits, you need to get into the world of atoms. And the world of atoms is not as forgiving as the world of bits. What I mean is, in the physical world, there are constraints that affect you. Someone is bringing you ordered for this amazing food, but it's noodles, it will get cold. On amazing chow noodles or whatever, you bought it for like 10K. Then you ordered for it and something happened and that guy entered one ditch. Your noodles is gone.
I don't want to think about it.
or the agbero on the road caught the guy for not having one ticket or something, I'm just, it's funny, but it's just like how things can actually affect that your digital solution that you're so amazed about. Like, oh, I made this smart, interesting thing, or the data center that is hosting your application and something happened and, maybe fire or whatever happens or they lost internet. And you saw what happened. I'm repeating myself, but you know what happened when we lost internet because of fiber optic cables. It just shows you that the physical world is, I would not say is harder than the world of bits. It's just unforgiving, right? And there's a lot of constraints that you need to actually take cognizance of, right? So I believe, going back to opportunities and problems, we have a problem. We don't have enough investment. We've not built enough generating stations. We've not built enough transmission industry. But think about it. I don't know the figure, but we have, when people say in Nigeria, we are generating 4,000 megawatts per day, that's what we are generating. The capacity is like 13,000 megawatts. I'm like, that is for the grid. Everybody has their own grid in their house. You have a generator. That's $1 billion informal grid. Or it's not a grid because it's one-to-one to people, but how about, I don't know, I'm just putting it out there. It is like crazy out there, but there's a lot of things that you have. All those things that you're going to go and grind those things when, let's say, all of a sudden the grid becomes good, which let's not kid ourselves. It can't just magically become good. Who wants to just come and drop 100 billion or something? So how much is our budget per year?
Just like that.
Do you understand? You need like consistent investment, and investment also in people. There has to be that human resources to actually even be able to build these things, to be able to maintain these things, to be, So I guess having that problem means that we have an opportunity to try crazy things. And I'm not saying those crazy things will solve all the problem, but we have an opportunity to try crazy things that will be difficult to try in way more established or way more stable grids or economies. We have the opportunity to try it here. There are a lot of places that are not connected to the grid in the first place. So there's a lot of things you can do around that. And when those solutions become now mature, you can now be the one even exporting those technologies to those. When those formerly mature technologies become obsolete, you're now the one giving them a new standard. So that's the way I think about some of these things where, you say developing means they're not developed. People look at it as a bad thing, but it means you can choose to do those things a bit more differently. Right? You can try, you can take more risk. Right? Yes, there's a role for, like, there are some things that this is hard-won knowledge. Right, you don't go and do something that is stupid because you want to form that you are innovative. They're like, there are some hard-won knowledge. We know how to, like, we understand the risk involved. Like, you don't start doing so before. So this is my belief. Like, I don't know, maybe it's Picasso that said this thing about you. I think maybe you first learn the rules so you can discard them. I need to first learn the rules. My own problem is when people don't want to learn the rules and they just say, I'm innovative, I'm just going to do my own thing. I think it's stupidity And that's why we have cranks. Other people come and start telling you, oh, they did one stuff, it's water, they generate electricity. I see that a lot in Nigeria. So you would see them on TV stations. I'm sorry, there's I'll call it cargo cult innovation. Richard Feynman. I'm getting a bit agitated about this point because I studied physics in school. So you see people just go and say one boy has this engine that is water and you see them, like, you watch TV, national TV, and you see this person, they are taking this person up and down, and engineers and professors are talking about this person. I don't know, like, this is not science. This is not technology. This is nonsense, and so I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people that actually understand what the status quo, they understand the technology, the limitations of where it is. Then they can try to now extend it and say, why this other place that is a greenfield? Let's see, maybe we can try this esoteric thing a bit. But they're not trying to say they're trying to, violate the second law of thermodynamics or something stupid like that. I'm not going to take them seriously. I'm just saying, because all the people that have done the engine with water, why have they not sold out?
Yeah.
Where are these engines? I've not seen the engines. They should make the generators. Everybody, like, people fool themselves a lot. And as I say, you are the easiest person. You are the easiest person to fool is yourself. So if you fool yourself, yeah. So, but I still sincerely believe that when you master the rules, you should not accept the status quo. You should choose to try to extend, what the realm of possibilities. So, and developing means we are growing field. There's some things we've not done. So maybe we should actually try those things.
Yes. I liked the point that you made, that you said when you said when it gets to a point when we've gotten some things right, we might not be the developed countries showing them.
I sincerely believe that because I will tell you an example is inoculation. Preceded vaccination. Africans have been doing it for thousands of years.
Yeah,
I know this for a fact. I am a student of African history, culture, and stuff like that in my personal time. I know for a fact that in Yoruba land there's what they call Shokbono. Shokbono people, supposedly like a deity, but the adherents of that deity, they've known about inoculation for centuries. They know about the fact that you can get someone that is recovering from Shokbono, they can take some of the pus, or they'll put it and they'll make incisions on themselves. They're going to have a fever, but they'll get better. And all of a sudden, they have immunity against smallpox. Smallpox that will come decimate villages, but unfortunately they used it for nefarious things. They intentionally steal people's properties and stuff. But going back to you, African slave took this practice to America.
Yes.
An African slave took it to America. So technology is not something that is only coming from one place or only one location to the other location. It's a network, right? So some technology will come from here, like we use the compass, we use gunpowder, we use a lot of things that came from China. So when people talk about China is taking over the world, people don't know that for 4,000 years China has been the peak of human civilization.
Yes.
This whole thing that we are seeing as Western civilization is less than 400 years. Before that, it was the Chinese. If you don't know history, that's that person's problem. Go and find history. Go and actually learn, right? Some people don't know, but when they speak about I see on Twitter all these right-wing people and Western civilization, I'm like, Baghdad in 1900 had paved streets. Baghdad in Iraq, which is like developing third world now. Where was London in 1900? Not 1900, I'm saying 900 AD.
Okay, 900.
900, like 900 AD, 800 AD. The Middle East was very developed. Some of the things what are we talking about? Algorithms
even back to
the word algorithms or algebra, these are Arabic. The numbers we use, we stole it from the Arabs. The Arabs stole it from the Indians, so it's actually Indian numerals. So because Europeans, it was through the Arabs they knew about India, so they thought it was the Arabs that created it, so they call it Arabic numerals. So India invented, they're the first culture to invent the idea of zero in mathematics. They've had mathematicians thousands of years.
Wow.
So civilization is not isolated to one place; it's across the world. So there are knowledge that we are going to have. There are things I don't want to talk about, but that personally I've seen, right, in terms of medicine, you know. So you look at the medicine we have now for malaria, that is artesunate or something. I think the person that found the artemisinin or something, she a Chinese researcher, she saw an ancient medicine book. She saw the ingredient there.
Wow.
And she synthesized it and they made it into a drug, and now, you know, so there's a lot of knowledge that is embedded, and don't forget about the ancient knowledge, new knowledge I would create here locally here because of the problems that we are having. Right, we are now going to create new solutions. You know, Tobe used to talk about people now although we are not the ones that invented power banks, to be fair, but we use it a lot, right? We have ways of, you know, and later on people are using it in Europe. I remember I was at Charles de Gaulle Airport sometime in 2021, and there's this guy that was begging me. They just needed I had a big power bank because I'm a Nigerian guy.
Yeah, Nigerian, of course.
I had a big power bank, and he was begging me. Well, he's gonna give me money, and I just give him the power bank. I just take it, right? You know, because I felt, well, I'm in Europe. My phones are charged. I think I should be fine when I get to where I'm going to. You know, and through my stay, I never needed a power bank. I never bought any new one, and that actually affected me because I've not bought a power bank since then.
Wow.
Yeah, and sometimes I actually need it, but I'm always at home, so I really need it. But the idea is, our challenges is going to make us use our brains to actually create solutions that we can now take that solution back, right? And we should not it's just not possible. You should never flow from only that place to this place. Sometimes the difficulties we have, they are now having some form of those difficulties for other reasons, right? Also, this variability in our grid, like on stability, theirs is caused by something else. Maybe theirs is by now talking about EVs. Now some of the sources are not reliable sources. They are using renewable energy sources. That you know. So a lot of all these things are now making people have blackouts in the developed world, right? So I believe we are experts at blackouts. It will be poetic justice for us to be the ones to come up with solutions around that. But not just that. I mean generally, like problems. I see problems as opportunities, and it gives you a bigger playing ground, right? Some things don't even have regulation yet that you can play around, like. You know how long it doesn't to build a road in Nigeria is not okay. Don't let me name. To build a road in Africa, Nigeria is a special case. To build a road in an African country is kind of like, okay, you just see the road, you allocate for it, and you build it. In all these Western countries, it's a bit harder. And you know, some people, like, because of politics, say, oh, that means we can't. Like, they have this negative, but there might be some good reasons why they can't build faster, because there's a lot of things to think about. Oh, is this bed? Maybe there's a nest of one bird on that place, or there's a worm. That worm, you know, you might not be into this environmental, but some people are into it, and it's a big part of their lives and all. But the thing is, what is the implication of you slowing down too much? If, like, I understand, like, the implication of going fast is bad, but if slowing down too, there is an implication of you go, like, you can actually die if you slow down too much, right? Yeah. So that allows we are like the frontier. We are the wide west, right? Yes. We are the wide west, so we can do a lot of things. We can try things. We don't have those things, you know. So what do we have to lose?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so this should be like when I say experiment, I'm not saying people should come and start trying crazy stuff here and start using Africans as lab rats. I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that. Just to be clear, because people can easily misconstrue what I said and say, oh, maybe pharmaceutical companies can. No. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it means that we can try things, ideas that might seem far-fetched because sunk costs that the established countries have. We don't have that sunk cost. We can try other ideas.
You talked about EVs. I have a question I want to ask you regarding that, and we'll close. Do you think electric vehicles will ever be a norm in Nigeria?
See, it's inevitable. People have different reasons. You never even get electricity. People say these things, and I'm not begrudging them. They have a point. You don't have enough electricity. How do you want to charge it? But you need to think about things systematically, like end to end. The vehicles that you have, where are they made from?
Important question.
Do you understand? Those vehicles, who is going to maintain those vehicles? Who is going to make the parts of those vehicles? If the world has moved on. Whether you like it or not. It's a case of whether you like it or not. How many times do you see, okay, let me put it this way. How many times do you see cassettes? We used to watch movies with cassettes, right? That's VHS. How many times do you see VHS anymore?
No. I can't remember the last time I saw it.
Exactly. So the supply chain of vehicles generally is changing.
Yeah.
Right. So I worked on something one time. Maybe something like it's something I have a passion for. Maybe it's just some things like some problems you don't discard them. You just put them in a folder and put them in the cooler. Later on with more money, with more you revisit. So I got some sensors. I got some like OBD2 adapters. I was trying to get data from my friend's vehicle. I was not driving then. Then we'll get this data. We'll now start training. We want to start doing predictive maintenance for vehicles. Right. We wanted to do it for generators actually, but we saw the data for generators, so it was not there. There are too many types of generators. The size it's just so it's almost impossible. But for vehicles it was a bit more, and vehicles are a lot of people had. Don't let me get into the technicalities of the data part, but the idea was when I now started talking about this idea, I spoke to a couple of potential investors, and some people were interested in it, this is big. Used, for example, this particular company has 5,000 feet. If you charge this amount of money, this is how much you make in a year. It's looked juicy, right?
Ginger.
But I'll tell you what happened, and I have to say this. Maybe it's the first time I'm saying it, so maybe some people should not come and call me because then I was not. It's not as if I was lying I didn't lie to anybody, but I was doing as if I didn't want to be doing. Ask me about it. I'm always non-committal about it, but the truth is, I now switched into video analytics, and the reason was basically simple. I thought about vehicles one day, and I'm the supply chain of vehicles. So this business would last how long? Do you understand what I mean? So you build this business. Eventually, that means all the vehicles. Look at Europe. Many of the countries have pledged to stop using ICE vehicles, internal combustion engines. They're using fossil fuels by this so dates. So all these dates are maybe 10 years away, 15 years away. You close your eyes, you open it, 10 years has gone. Yeah. Right? So, and I'm not thinking that before I even get to a place where you have a good product, so how long is the span where this maybe the company maybe I'll not, now the question is, this business we now translate into doing predictive maintenance for EVs. But EVs are computers working. Yes. So it's easier to do it in-house rather than one person putting one sensor to do anything, right? It's easier to just collect the data that they're already generating. And so the actual company does it for you and also. And I thought about it, and I saw it as an interesting problem, a very interesting scientific problem, and there's a market for it. I just felt it I felt it was not big enough because of I felt there's an ending date for ICE vehicles. There's when they say someone has collected there's an end date for ICE vehicles. And why I say there's an end date for ICE vehicles is because the supply chain of ICE vehicles is the people that are making those vehicles are Europe, Asia, America. Yeah. They are already moving to EVs little by little. Yes. What is going to happen when the Tokumbo vehicles that you're expecting are not there anymore? Yes. What are you going to do? You're going to make everything from the vehicle by yourself. the manufacturers in Nigeria, I owe them, but let's be honest with ourselves. Are they the ones making the controls? Are they the one making the sensors? You understand what I mean? So they're not the one making all these things. So there's a major supply chain that they need to think about. And the market size, maybe all of a sudden Africa will be like a very big market in the next 15 years. But the question is, at the moment, is the Africa percentage in global trade is like 2% or something, 3%, or something ridiculous like that.
Wow.
You get what I mean? So now the question is, why would I would just probably just change my business if I'm the one, I'm Bosch or I'm whichever company. I'll focus on the EVs. Later on, I'll just you get what I mean? I'll just evolve and focus on that. Think about every technology that we've used. If you think about it, even fuel that we use, you know, the way filling stations used to be. I don't know, maybe you've seen the old filling, the pumps. They used to be like this transparent bottle, and I don't know if you've seen. My granddad used to have like filling stations, so I've seen some old ones from the 90s, and I was lucky to see like old versions of those things. But I'm just saying, like, you need to think about things like the entire supply chain of products or technologies before you, not be like you can't adopt, like look at what is the implication of those things in the future. So EVs is inevitable, because buying used vehicles from Europe, from America, I don't know, maybe it's going to change in 20 years, but I doubt it's going to change in 20 years. It's going to get better. We'll make some, like maybe the numbers will decrease. We'll buy more newer vehicles. There are some more vehicles over here. But I don't think it's going to stop totally in 20 years. That means some of the vehicles we'll be getting from there will be EVs. And the grid too. The grid will be like I said, we'll fix the grid one way or the other. Do you understand? And even if you don't fix it, Nigeria has not been. So let me tell you, like, it's just an extra. Think about it. It's an extra demand, extra consumption. Nigeria will still find a way to consume that consumption. I don't know what I said there, but the point is, we don't have lights. What do? You buy a generator and you go and buy fuel. I'm not saying you go and buy fuel and charge your EV, but I'm just saying that we figured out things. People start businesses where in the street they put one place, they charge. Maybe it's not the grid, maybe it's the IPP. IPP can do charging stations. Imagine an IPP, and instead of selling to people, you just sell to like, you create charging stations. But let me keep quiet before I start leaking ideas. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of things that would happen that can still make having and we don't, like, like this 206 naira for that's based on the grid. If I have enough solar panels in my house, why can't I charge my vehicle during the day when there's peak sunlight? That's going to be cheaper. Solar is becoming competitive now based on the price of grid. Solar was expensive a lot before, but now it's becoming competitive. And if you are smart, you can actually make it way more competitive. Batteries make it a bit more expensive. But if you figure out how to do things, you can actually, like, it can be very competitive. So I guess it might be something to it's inevitable. That's like what I said, it's inevitable. EVs will be part of our transports. To be part of our.
Because I actually think about it a lot. Like, I just think about the whole EV thing. Like, will Nigeria ever be ready?
Communication. Think about communication. We're not ready for everybody has a phone. So Nitel, how many platforms during Nitel period? How many household had phones? Yeah. But mobile phones, we just figure it out and go. Yeah, I'm not saying electricity is going to be exactly like that. I'm saying these vehicles right now, the batteries are big. Things will change. In the space of 10 years, the technology of the battery will change. Yes. Right now, I see people swapping the batteries for the bikes, motorcycles. Yeah. How about if you can swap batteries for vehicles in 20 seconds? Yeah. I'm just giving you an idea. So imagine if you are the filling station your work is to charge batteries.
Mm-hmm.
And people just go there, they drive there, swap the battery, and you go your way. And when you get home, it's just trickle charge, you just do. There's a lot of things that will happen that will make it a possibility. And an IPP somewhere will just supplying filling stations across, or charging stations now across, or swapping stations now. Yeah. So saying EV will not work is a question of the numbers, and those numbers is going to be dependent on the technological advances between now and that period. So though you can quote me that you see a lot of EVs by 2035. EVs will be a major
like
part.
In 11 years.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to hold this.
Yeah, and COVID was 2020. This is 2024. Think about it. So you close your eyes, you wake, you're 2030 already. You close it a bit, you open it again, and you're in 2035. So EVs are going to be part of our transport architecture. Amazing.
Thank you so much,
all right,
David. I mean, as always, my head is always loaded after you talk. So do you want to say anything like a goodbye or anything before we finally?
Yeah, I would say people should, this band A, band B, bandits.
And if you're in bandit or bandana
that we are in,
don't worry.
People should be a bit more, more conscious about their usage. And this is not about like you're blaming the victim or the end user. It's just that we know how the economic situation is, so people should be a bit more mindful. There are a lot of things that they can use to bring their usage down. Things that are corporates, they need to figure out appliances that are maybe not good or they are bad. They may have to change some of their appliances to maybe energy efficient appliances. Sometimes it's actually cheaper to actually spend more money to buy the energy efficient version, because in the long run it's going to be a lower cost. So people should look at that, and people should also make their leaders accountable. When they do things like town halls, when they don't announce it that much, but people that find out should publicize, let other people know. People should attend those things. People should actually question their representatives, like, what are you doing? This is, data is really key. We need to have better data, and we need to actually hold people that are responsible to change things accountable. So I guess difficulties, challenges, like I say, are opportunities. So these bandits or band A or bandana situation it's an opportunity and I feel we're going to solve it. Well, it might maybe solve it on different levels. So we as the user will find ways around solutions and stuff like that. But we still want to hold the leaders accountable to actually solve it at that top-down level, right? So they need to also solve it from that level, because it's an interesting time, and so I think that's all I want to say to our listeners. And
all right. If you listened, if you got up to this point, we are very grateful as always. Thank you. Do not forget, if you haven't listened to the first episode, of course, to give you a context to what we are doing and why we are doing what we are doing. So do not forget to subscribe, to comment, to share, just engage, and your feedback will, you make things turn around for us. We want to know what you think. We want to know what you want us to talk about. We just want to hear from you. Also, do not forget to check us out on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Power Labs HQ, and also on LinkedIn, Power Labs Inc. Thank you, and to the next episode. Bye.